Welcome back, race fans, to Off the Track podcast, where you get the dirt. I'm Levi Gotzi, and we are here at Blue Chip Technologies Racing Engines. We are a high-performance race engine shop located right here in Heltonville, Indiana. And today we have joining us on the show, Greg Garrison. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you.
I'm glad you made it in this evening. It is this evening now.
Right.
Some guys are able to get in a little bit earlier, and some guys don't get off till 5 or 6, so you just never know what time of day it's going to be whenever somebody can stop by. But we're definitely very happy that you were able to take the time out of your evening to stop by the shop and talk a little dirt racing.
Yeah.
So let's hear the story on your start.
I want to say probably 08 or 09 when I started racing go-karts. As a kid, my dad raced go-karts, and I remember very vaguely of going when he was racing.
Yeah.
He quit, and I don't know why I started. It just all my buddies had them, and I always did, and I just never could until I got a little bit older and I was able to afford it on my own. And I just, on a whim, got one, and I went racing.
How old were you whenever you actually got one then?
I was probably 17, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Give or take a little bit. I don't know for sure.
Right. Well, some guys, are able to get behind the wheel of a go-kart at a pretty young age, and then, some guys don't even start out in karts. They just jump right in a big car, and you just never know how someone got their start. So you was 17. I'm not sure if there was anybody that you raced with today that would have ran karts against you at that time or not.
Well, my brother-in-law, Cody Trammell, he ran at the time, but I remember as a kid going with some friends, and we went over to Kentucky, I think it was, for an indoor show, and that's where I seen Jeff Bland, Josh Burton, Chad Combs, Eric Smith. They was all racing at that time.
Okay.
And I thought, man, I want to get into this.
Yeah.
And I just a little bit later.
Right. So you ran the indoor track then?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good times.
Yeah,
I know
fun.
I was pretty young. I believe I was still in elementary school, and my father, he took me, I believe it was up in Indianapolis somewhere, and ran an indoor track. I think it was in December or January. It was cold and snowing out, but definitely memories that I always have. And anytime you get to run indoors or something about that, I'm sure everybody that gets to go over to the Dirt in December race, that's got to be a blast. I know a lot of guys get stuff tore up, but it'd be a rush, I'm sure. So you ran the karts. How many years were you guys racing go-karts?
I probably ran 3 or 4 years maybe.
Yeah.
And we struggled.
Yeah.
I'll admit I was never any good in a go-kart.
Yeah.
And then I just decided I was over it. We was running down at Linton. We'd get 5 carts maybe, and I think the winner walked out there with $10.
Right.
And I realized at that time
time to do something different.
It wasn't very smart.
Yeah.
So I sold all of my go-kart stuff, and I was originally wanting to go to a Bomber. I wanted to get in a bigger car, and that's about the time the Hornets came around, and my dad was on me. He told me, just get you one of these, just have some fun. I thought, them things are a joke. I'm not going to drive a Hornet.
Yeah.
And after sitting there with nothing to race, I thought, all right, I'll give it a try.
Let's try this out.
And I ended up buying a car off a local guy here, and we done pretty good, and I just stuck with it.
Right. Well, I know in that division, you've won a lot of races, and I'm not sure if you know the count, but it seems like I've heard some pretty crazy numbers.
Since I started, I never won in a go-kart. So it'd be from the Hornet and then what little couple I won in the street stock. I'm right at 80 wins.
I was thinking you was up in the high 70s or even in the 80s, which is quite impressive. So, that's not a real long span of years to have that kind of win count. So you've definitely done some damage out there, and I know in the super stocks you were winning. I'm not sure how many, if you even keep track as far as
I think I had
separates
three.
or three
In
which
super
is
stock.
good. I mean, it's tough to get a win in a
is.
super stock. I ran our super stock for 3 or 4 years and never did get one. So And it's a challenge in every division, but I know you guys dominated in the Hornet class, traveling around even, and going after some of those bigger payouts,
Yeah.
traveling down to maybe Georgia, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I've even seen where you've went to like some stuff up north, and
About the farthest north we would go would be like Kokomo or
Yeah.
Mount Pillier, but we went over to Illinois quite a bit. But Georgia it tops them all. We go down there twice a year,
yeah,
but I mean it's not the same type of racing as what we have here.
yeah,
It's a whole nother breed of cars and competition, and
right,
it's a good time.
yeah. And they probably get quite a few cars to those events.
They usually get anywhere when we go in November. I think they probably normally get 70,
Yeah,
and then when we go in February, that's their big paying race. They get anywhere from 90 to 120.
so just to make the show is
Yeah,
tough. I mean,
yeah.
if you make it in the show, you've done great.
Every time we went down there, if I made the show, I considered that as a win.
Right.
But
So, what's been one of your best finishes down there at a
fourth,
big show? Fourth
Yeah.
place.
it's 100 laps. They started 44 cars,
Yeah,
and which is a lot.
that is a
And
lot.
We went down there, and I didn't make it through qualifying. We ran. The way they set it up is everybody qualifies. They take the top 20, and they're locked in the show, and that's how you start in the feature.
Okay.
And everybody else runs a B main. There's normally 2 B mains. They'll take the top 10 out of each B main or whatever.
Yeah.
They'll give you 40 cars, and they got 4 provisionals.
Okay.
And so it was the first year we went down there. I didn't make it through qualifying. We started second row of the B main, I think, and we ended up transferring through it, and I started 30th in the feature. And it started raining as we pulled out on the track, and I was thinking to myself, there's no way.
Yeah.
And they dropped the green flag, and we went down the back stretch and into 3 and 4 there, and I slid from the bottom of the track all the way to the top. And I just tell myself, first caution, I'm just gonna pull off,
Yeah.
And you get 44 cars on a track, it don't take
Yeah.
long for the track to take grip.
Right.
And by that time, a caution came out, and we were all single file. And I'm trying to look over and see where the leader's at, and I can't see him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
almost behind
He's
you.
right behind me.
Right.
And we took off, and like I said, the track took grip, and we started making our moves, and we ended up finishing 4th.
There you go.
So
That's pretty impressive.
yeah,
So, whenever you guys are headed down to a trip like that, you guys take a lot of spare parts, and
we take what we can.
I know at one point you guys decided to build a double-decker open trailer.
Yeah,
so
we
I didn't
actually
know if you actually took a spare car or how that worked. Or
Last year was the first year that we pulled the double trailer
Okay.
down there, and we just took my car.
yeah,
And this year we plan on taking 2 cars, and it's not necessarily a spare car, whether Bill gets in one drives
there
or
you go.
Somebody if somebody wants to pitch in on some gas money, we'll
Yeah.
have the car
Well,
down
that'd be
there.
cool. That'd definitely be neat to see Bill in it too.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years it's been since he's driven.
But I'm not sure.
Probably been a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, being Lee's brother, Lee's done it for all those years, and I'm sure Bill's uncles and
Yeah.
everyone from the Hobbs side, there's definitely a lot of history there.
Yeah.
So, well, that's cool that you guys get to make it down there. Is there anybody local from our area that goes that you would consider good competition here and goes down? And
Yeah, there's usually a few. Chris Hillman Jr.
Yeah.
He goes down there, and he's always tough.
yeah,
Owen Cosman, Dan Smith, they've been a few times, and Cosman's had some pretty decent luck down there. But really, we're about the only ones.
yeah.
Back
So
when-
4 or 5 guys from
Yeah.
our area probably.
Yeah, Luke Bland, back when he was running Hornets, he went down there once, and
Yeah.
but really, I mean, it's
Well,
just
it's good to know that when you're that far away from home, if one of you has something the other guy needs, and
yeah,
you guys can kind of bounce ideas off one another and help each other out the best you can, I'm sure. So you guys ran the Hornets for roughly how many years before you jumped into the super stock division?
7 maybe,
Yeah,
7 or 8.
and then you jumped into super stocks for a little while.
I think I was in it
Maybe 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, 3.5 years. Because I bought it and towards the end of the year, and I think I got it out a time or two then. And
Yeah.
But
well, you guys, you guys ran well in the super stocks.
Yeah, we always had. I mean, for the most part, we had good luck.
Yeah.
And when we first started, it was almost too good to be true. You know, I was just waiting for that big moment that.
Mm-hmm.
And we lost a motor, and that put me out for a little bit. And
Yeah.
I put another one in, and we got through another year, and I lost it at the end of the year. And then this last year, you know, this parts failure, you know, we lost one again. Yeah. And that's when I figured, you know, I'm going to have to hold off for a little bit, and we sold out.
Regroup.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, if my memory serves me right, I'm thinking that at some point you even dabbled in the mini sprints or something, or maybe you had one and was getting ready to get going, or
yeah, I had a wild hair, you know, and
yeah.
I thought I'm gonna try this, and I bought one, and it never left the garage.
Okay,
you know, so and
I wasn't sure.
I ended up selling it, and a buddy of mine, Josh Hickson, he runs mini sprints, and I got in his one night at Bloomington.
Okay,
and that didn't go over real well with the family, but
yeah,
it was fun. So,
well, I'm sure there are probably a handful to hold on to, and
yeah, we was at my boy's baseball game, and he called me, and it was Bloomington Speedways. They had the mini sprint nationals where they ran Friday and Saturday, and he ended up flipping the week before or something, and was a little sore. And
yeah.
He ran Friday night, and he called me and said, "Hey, you want to drive?" Well, yeah, you know, and I said, I'm at the game. I said, I'll leave right now.
Yeah.
And so we ended up leaving, and I went and met up with him and got to the track. And, you know, I got people over there telling me, giving me pointers, you know.
Right.
And the biggest thing is a wing show. Everybody told me, you know, when you go in the corner, just hold it, don't lift.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with them wings, I thought, I pulled down on the track there, and I thought, man, these guys are lying. You got to lift a little bit.
Yeah.
And I went into 1 and 2 there, and I lifted, and the thing shot right, and I went over the berm, and I thought,
I should have lifted.
Yeah.
But. Well, it's got to be tough to jump in one and just hit the track with other cars out there, and trying to you know, maintain a lap speed like them guys that do it every weekend. I'm sure if you had the opportunity to get out there and make some practice laps before you hit the track with other cars, it would have helped. But it's definitely fun watching them guys in the mini sprints and the non-wing 410s, of course. But I've personally never climbed in one, so I wouldn't know the first thing about it. But I'm sure it's quite difficult.
Yeah, it actually surprised me a little bit. I mean,
yeah,
I keep telling Josh, you know, I want to get in it again.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'd like to try it non-wing.
Yeah.
Which I hate that series doesn't do more non-wing, but you know, they got their thing that works for them, and either way, wing or not, I still want to get in it again.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it was a blast, even though it didn't work out like you wanted, you know, just to be able to get into something else. I mean, to me, anytime you get the opportunity to get in a car, it's always, you know, one side of it, you're like, yeah, I'm going to get in. I did have the opportunity to climb in one of the 600s one night, and it was my kids were racing. They were running junior sprints, and we were taking them over to, it was Linton then, which just has been years ago now. I don't even know, probably. Trying to think how old my kids are. My oldest one's 18 now, so he was 8, so it's been 10 years ago. So probably 2010, I'm guessing. And a guy I went to high school with, he had one there, and he was trying to get me to climb in it, and I was like, no, because at the time I'd walked away from racing back in like 2001. It might even been late 2000, and I was like, man, as soon as I get in that seat, I'll be hook, line, and sinker, and I'll be right back in this whole ordeal. And but anyways, I turned it down and watched him, and I was glad I didn't drive it because he had issues with it anyways. So probably would have just went out there and smoked the wall.
Right.
But so for the most part, though, that's the division super stock, and the Hornets is pretty well where you've decided to stay at.
Yep.
And now you're back in the Hornets and winning races. And
yeah, we're not. I mean, I wouldn't say we're back full time at Hornet. You know, we're just going to hit a few shows here and there, and my boy's racing now.
Yeah.
And if it's possible, I'll run, and if it's not a big deal.
Well, I'm sure anytime you get to take him somewhere, that you have more fun watching him.
I've had more fun watching him race than I ever have. So
right.
He's in go-karts now, and I swore up and down I never put him in one, and we was sitting at the house one day, and my dad showed up and had one out there, and he got in it, took it up the road a little bit, and he was hooked, and I thought, well, I've got to let him try it now.
Yeah.
And he went out and raced the first time. It was just him and one other kart in his class.
Yeah.
And he done pretty good for his first time out there, and then I started looking around a little bit to get a little better operation for him, and I found a deal on the kart that he's got now, and put him in it the next weekend. He went out there and won it.
Is that right?
So I think he won 3 or 4 for his first year.
Well, there you go.
So,
well, that's awesome. So, what tracks do you guys try to take him to?
Monroe County Fairgrounds runs about every other week.
Well, that's good.
And then Miller down in Montgomery, they run about every other week.
Yeah.
So we took him to Columbus once, I think.
Yeah.
And he's wanting to travel a little bit. He wants to go up to Ben-Hur, which scares me for him. But and he's wanting to do some indoor shows. So
that'd be fun.
We'll just kind of see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, that's good that he's at the age where you guys get to go and support him doing it and enjoy it. And you're still young enough that, I mean, you can climb in a seat anytime. So that's good that you guys are to that point where you can do that. And I know for a long time, I think he was playing baseball and you guys were traveling a lot. And that's why you kind of slowed down in racing.
Yeah, he's still doing baseball. But,
so now he's really busy.
Yeah. And we actually bought another car earlier in this winter, and I'm actually going to build it and put him in a Hornet. And we was hoping by next year, but I wanted him in at least one more year in a go-kart before I done it. And this racing season's kind of on hold, so we may wait a little bit longer. But I keep telling him, I'm not going to quit until he's in one. Because I still want to whip up on him once.
Right.
So,
well, that'll be good because any father and son combination out on the track is just memories that you guys will both cherish for the rest of your lives. It's there's something about that's just nothing's better.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I've had a lot of good nights in a race car. I've had a lot of bad nights, but some of my definite best memories are when me and my dad were racing side by side. I mean, it was just something about beating your dad, it's good times. Yeah, and it's fun to watch when your kids get involved in the sport and want to do it. And we started my boys out when they were just so young that they were like, what are we doing here, and it was just, I think if we would have waited just a few more years, it would have been better, but it just didn't really work out. They were more worried about going to birthday parties than they were going racing. So we was like, we're spending a lot of money here. Maybe we should just hold off on this whole deal. Well, that's really cool. You guys are putting together a Hornet for him, and I'm sure the go-kart experience will carry over, and he'll probably do just as well as you have in them. And clearly you guys have got something figured out with them things. I mean, I know a lot of people, some people look at the Hornets like, they're just cars that you guys bust the windows out, but that's not the true story. I mean, you guys are doing your homework just like anybody else in any other car and going back and trying to figure out how to make it faster and safer. Yeah. And you guys have definitely figured out how to make them front-wheel drive cars go around them tracks. Yeah. I mean, it's proven. So with that experience, knowing how to set them up, I'm sure that will help him out a ton. So as far as this year, this season's all whack now. We should already be racing, and we're not. But what's your intentions whenever everybody can open the dirt tracks back up? Where you guys plan on focusing at?
A little bit of everywhere. We've actually got 2 cars now. We've got mine, and we put one together for Bill. Yeah. And he's on. he's gonna run it as much as he can, and if there's a money show that my car's not legal at, then I may jump in it and give it a shot. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I'm just gonna run my car. Really, at Paragon.
Yeah.
That's about the only track that will let my car run. So
Okay.
And then, like I said, Bill will run there with us, and if he wants to go to Brownstown or something, then we'll go down there and I'll help him like he's helped me.
Well, there you go. So what number is Bill's car going to have on the side of it?
And he's 3H.
3H.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know you've always ran the 2G as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that number come from your dad or anybody or
back when my dad ran go-karts, he was 2.
Yeah.
And when I started racing, I just added the G.
There you go.
So.
Well, that's cool. It's funny how a lot of drivers will pick out their number, and you never know why. And sometimes it's because that's what their dad ran. And some people, it's just whatever age they got started racing or favorite basketball player. You never know what it is, but it's always neat to hear that. So basically, Bill's going to be running. You're going to be running. You guys are going to be running go-karts and playing baseball.
Yeah.
Well, you guys will have your hands full then.
Yeah.
So what track would you have to say in your Hornet division is your favorite?
Kokomo.
Kokomo?
Yeah.
That place is fun.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
It's as far as my favorite overall track, I'd say Kokomo.
Yeah.
But locally, it's hard to go up to Kokomo when they run on Sundays, and we usually just go when it's a holiday weekend or we don't have to work. But
yeah.
I'd say locally, Paragon.
Yeah. Paragon, I'm really glad that Spiker got that place going as far as putting, the time and money and work into it like he has. I know we were in there several times last year in 2019, and it's just nice that that they're pushing so hard to keep these tracks alive. I mean, Bloomington Speedway now, they're going to be trying to run this year, of course, and that's great news because that track has been here for as long as I don't even remember what year it was. I know it goes way back, but it's just whenever that they're only going to run a few shows a year at your local track, it just kind of makes you sick to your stomach. To me, there's no better entertainment to take your family to and spend an evening at the dirt track. And these guys are definitely putting a lot of hard work into the Bloomington, the grandstands, and I've been seeing stuff on Facebook on that.
I've seen some pictures of that.
That's going to be great. It's been needed for a long time, that's for sure. But so you guys, I know you guys have got quite a bit of pretty good sponsors on the cars now, I guess.
Yeah.
So who all do you guys have that helps you out?
We've got quite a few, really. Lentz Paving, he's helped us out pretty much since I started Hornets.
Yeah.
Woolston Automotive, Davey Woolston, he's done my motor work for the street stocks and anything that I need, I can call him. Lee Hobbs, he's helped me. He's been on all my cages. If I need a spare part here or there, if anybody needs a spare part, more than likely Lee's got it.
Right.
So he's helped me a bunch, but I'd say my biggest is Milliken Realty. Mm-hmm. He's been on the car since day one, and up, I'd say 2 or 3 years ago, we was talking to him about coming on board again, and he asked me, he said, what's it take to be the only sponsor on the, he said, I want the whole car.
Right.
And we kind of talked back and forth, and we went with that. And
worked it out.
Yeah, so.
Well, that's cool.
He's helped me a bunch.
Well, I know I personally remember seeing that on every car I've seen you with at the track, and I know that they're a pretty good sized company, clearly, and it's always good to see these companies come on board and get their name out at the dirt tracks, and it always sticks in my head. When I think of Greg Garrison's race car, I think of Milliken. Yeah, I mean, it's all over it.
Jason, he's a stand-up guy. We just bought a house recently, and any questions, it's my first house I ever bought. I could call him. He helped me, walk me through all that. But as far as the racing, and he enjoys it, but he don't ever go.
Yeah.
But he's always been there to help, and
Well, that's
You
cool.
know,
Well, you had to twist his arm a little bit this summer and try to get him to go.
yeah.
Well, that's really cool, and we've definitely always seen your car. I mean, it sticks out well, his name on the car, and your car always looks good. I mean, your super stocks always looked great, clearly, and your Hornets, they've always looked good. I feel like you kind of went from the same collars that you ran there for a long time, and then you kind of just all of a sudden switched out and went black, didn't you? Didn't you end up with a black car there for a little bit, or
No? In the Hornets, our colors was always blue and
I might be
fluorescent
thinking
orange.
about Hillman's black.
Yeah, Hillman's got the black
He's
and
got
fluorescent orange.
That's what I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah.
I bet.
We kind of got away from the bright orange and went with more of that fluorescent yellow look,
Yeah.
but just I don't know, time for a change a little bit.
Yeah. So who all helps you guys out on the cars in the shop?
Me, Bill, you know, he's a huge help.
Yeah.
Like especially right now since we just moved, my car's staying in his garage,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard for me to get over every night. He's put a fuel cell in it. He's always out there doing something,
Yeah.
and plus I am working on his car.
Right.
So he's a huge help. And then
He's
you know,
probably working on it right now.
he very well could be.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
Keep up the hard work.
Right. And then my mom, you know, she helps me. My dad helps me whenever he can.
Yeah.
And, you know, my wife and kids, you know.
Right.
Especially my oldest boy, he's at that age where he's getting into it, you know, especially with racing himself, trying to learn a little bit more.
Yeah.
So he's out there with me. And
That's
you know,
good.
just-
You know, that's the time in the shop and getting to and from the tracks is where most of the memories are made.
yeah.
And I can definitely sit here and say that when you go to especially Bloomington Speedway, if you don't see a whole row of Garrison fans
Right.
sitting up there, there's a problem
Yeah,
because
there's usually quite a few.
there's
that
like
come.
20 or 30 orange shirts up there in a row.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell where your clan's at. You guys definitely enjoy the racing, and you know it shows. I'm sitting here trying to think of some other good questions. I know you've won a lot of races. Out of the 80 that you've won now, what would you say has been your most memorable race, or something that sticks out to you?
I would have to say Jeremy Reed over in Illinois. You know, we've been buddies pretty much since I started racing. Him and Adam Webb are hands down dominant in the front wheel drive class. I think between the two of them, there's like 5 or 6 national championships.
Wow.
And you know, I bought a car from both of them, but more from Reed than I have Webb. And we go over there and race with him. He comes over here and races with us. And we went to Kokomo Speedway for the Kokomo Clash.
Yeah.
And he was over here, and we ran hard, and that was the first time that's the only time I've ever outran him. And to be able to do that, and we had a little conversation before the race, and he was trying to tell me to change my tire size a little bit, and I was telling him no, I think I'm all right. And,
Yeah.
and then to go out there and win,
Right.
I'd say that was probably the most memorable.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, anytime you beat someone that you know is so high in their
Right.
skill set and how well they perform, it's definitely something that you always enjoy. I mean, nobody ever really wants to go somewhere and just win and then be like, oh, yeah, it was kind of
Right.
it was all right. You want those ones where you got something to actually talk about.
Yeah.
So that was that was definitely a good night then
Yeah.
for you guys. That's cool. I just can't even get over the fact that you've won 80 some shows. I mean, that's a pretty outstanding number, really, for
Yeah.
no more years than you're talking about. I mean, some guys are lucky enough to get 10 wins or something in their entire career, but 80, I mean, that's definitely a lot of shows. So do you guys ever hit any half mile tracks or?
No, we actually was going to try for that Voorhees series and run Eldora, and the more we got to looking at their rules, I would have to change too much on my car
Yeah.
to make it feasible. I mean, it'd be a blast,
Right.
for the most part, we just stay with the smaller ones.
I was kind of curious. I didn't know if when you guys went south down to, it is Georgia, right? I didn't know if that was a 44 car, so.
It's they consider it a 3/8,
Okay.
but I would say more of a 3/8 on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
The top's pretty, but you can run 7, 8 wide, and
Yeah. I'm sure that's got to be a blast when they drop the green, especially starting 30th at one night and then working your way up to a 4th place finish. I mean, that's a lot of cars to pass.
Yeah.
I realize you had 100 laps to get that done, but a lot of stuff can go wrong in 100 laps too. I know when I was younger, I used to really enjoy watching the enduro races. At Brownstown, they would put them on, and that was actually my first time ever being in a car was an enduro, and I think I made like 12 laps and got my front bumper ripped off and couldn't finish, but it was 12 laps that I really enjoyed,
And enduro's really something I've never done.
Yeah, I bet you'd enjoy it.
I think
It'd be a good time. I'm not sure if they've got any scheduled for, I feel like my dad was telling me that Brownstown might have one, or I don't want to say that, but of course I just did. I'm trying to think of what track he was talking about.
Brownstown usually does one at Fun Fest.
Okay, maybe that was it. Maybe that's the one he's talking about. I would definitely have to say that just putting together a car just for that race would be a blast.
Right.
I mean, it's something about whenever they start that many cars and throw the green, it's like total chaos. Look out. Let's see what happens. But when I was younger, it seemed like they had them. Maybe I just felt like they had more than what they do nowadays. Maybe it was just one a year. I really don't even know. But so are you guys going to run for points this year, or
no?
Stay away from the points? I'd say it'd be tough considering what all you guys got going on with your son racing and baseball. It's
he wants to run for points in the go-karts.
There you go.
If it's feasible, we will. But,
yeah.
We sink too much money in the baseball and the racing, so
Right.
he's gonna just hit and miss what he can. And
yeah, that's understandable because just traveling around with the sport of baseball, it's I know it's got to be expensive because you're on the road so much and all their gear and everything. But then you throw go-karts in the mix.
Right.
Yeah, look out.
Yeah.
You guys have ran well in points over the years, though.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you used to run for points at Bloomington, didn't you? Yeah. Did you ever win any points championships?
Not at Bloomington.
Yeah.
Two at Paragon. The Brownstown had a points fund one year. They gave them like $1,000 to win points.
Yeah.
At Brownstown, I won that one, and I think that's the only track points I've ever won.
Well, that's still, I mean, that's something to be proud of. It's any division, it's tough to win points.
Right.
I mean, it's one of them things where your year might, you might get fortunate enough to start off good, and then 4 or 5 races into it, you fall off, and you're constantly trying to get caught back up, and there's just no shot.
Yeah.
I know I used to always want to, do well in points when I was younger, and getting back into the sport, it's definitely something I'm not going to be able to do anytime soon, but I'd like to do it. I'd like to chase after some eventually, but I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Right. Little Salem, Thunder Valley, we won points there.
There you go.
But we was really chasing the regional UMP regional points and national points.
Yeah.
And I think we won regional points 2 or 3 times, and we came close to nationals. They take your top 20 best shows, and everyone kept saying, it's going to take 20 wins to get it.
Right.
And I think I got 21 that year, and Adam Webb over there ended up with 22. So he got the win.
So you ran second, though? I mean, that's incredible, though.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to, because I'm sure that list of drivers is probably like,
there's
hard telling how many hundreds. I mean,
if you would take the top 10 in the points, especially that year, I mean, any of them could have won. It was some very stiff competition.
Yeah. Who would you say around here is your toughest competition nowadays?
Oh, man.
Probably Hillman.
On a track that I can run my car at, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Hillman, he's pretty much got the same car. He's done some things different than I have, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Hillman and Cosman,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I know from, what little bit of racing I've seen with Hillman, it seems like they've got something figured out too, because I know used to, I don't know how many years ago, but it seemed like anytime I seen your car hit the track, you were going to win.
Yeah.
And then we were down at Salem one night this past summer, and I remember seeing Hillman, and he was fast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I was like, wow, they got something going on here,
Yeah.
and I feel like they might have been doing a little traveling around, but I'm not sure if they ever go down Georgia with you guys or not.
Yeah, they've been 2 or 3 times, I believe,
Yeah.
and that. Other than making it a family trip,
Mm-hmm.
my wife, my kids, my mom, Bill, sisters, brothers, or whoever,
Right.
they all go, and we make a weekend out of it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what it's about. But having
Right.
some of your local guys down there,
Yeah,
we
it
hang
makes
out
it a
with.
lot more interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure. They which Chris, I mean, he was always so good in them super stocks, and still is.
Yeah, I got a lot better time running junior than I did senior.
Yeah.
But
Well, is there anybody you really ever go to for any kind of setup advice on the Hornets, or was that something you guys just kind of started tinkering around with, figuring it out on your own?
no, I mean, starting out, we were lost. We just played around. Chad Taylor helped me a little bit there my first year, and
Yeah.
kind of got me. He gave me some pointers, and I went out there and beat him in the B main, I think.
Yeah.
And they didn't stop, but they slowed down then. But no, once we really got serious in it, Jeremy Reed over in Illinois,
Yeah.
if I needed anything, I could call him. He'd
Yeah.
tell me what to do, or there'd been times I needed actual work done that I couldn't do, and
Mm-hmm.
he'd tell me, give me some gas money, I'll come over, and he'd come over after work and stay till 11 or 12 o'clock and
Wow.
make that 3 or 4 hour drive back home.
Yeah.
But, he, hands down, he helped me a lot.
Well, that's good. I mean, to have somebody that you could turn to for advice and
Yeah.
help, and I mean, clearly it must have been a huge help for you. I mean, someone with that kind of experience in them, and
Right.
to be able to make that kind of
Well,
commitment to helping you.
Illinois started out in Hornets long before they came around here in Indiana.
Yeah.
And so that was one advantage I had being buddies with one of them guys is everything that most of your guys around here was just figuring out,
Mm-hmm.
they had already knew about.
Right.
So anything that he was helping me with was way above what anybody else over here even
Right.
thought about doing yet.
Yeah, and that'll carry you a long ways, that's for
Yes.
sure. I mean, that's like when Grandpa used to go over to Australia and race, they were a little behind times over there, so the people that he would give advice to, they appreciated that.
Mm-hmm.
It helped them improve their game, and it's kind of, it works out both ways, because nowadays, there's guys over there in Australia that help out Joe now because
Mm-hmm.
of things that Grandpa had helped them guys out with back then. So, who knows down the road, you
Yeah.
guys might be able to help one another out more for years to come. I'm sure you've definitely learned a lot with your car
Yeah.
on slick tracks around here. So, shooting him some ideas probably helps him out at times as
Right.
well. It's always good to have, somebody that you can give that call to and just bounce ideas off of. And I'm sure I drive my cousin Joe crazy at times because I'll give him a call and be like, hey, we're thinking about this. And it's just easy to just want to pick that phone up. And
Right.
you just want the easy button to hit. I just want to go fast.
Yeah.
So basically, it's one of them deals to me where in racing, I mean, clearly we're all in it to be competitive, and the last thing you want to do is go out there and run in the middle of the pack all the
Right.
time, and it's tough to want to even go back whenever you just keep doing that.
Yeah.
So,
That's like back in, I don't remember what year it was. We was having a pretty good year there, and we was running Paragon, and Keith Ford ran the track.
Mhm.
I think we won 2 or 3 in a row maybe, and he came up to me after the races and he said, "Hey, when you come back next week," he said, "I need you to run second." I'm like, what? You know, and he said, yeah, he said, it's starting to run some cars off. He said, I need you to run second. And I said, you know, I don't put in the time and the effort and the money to run second.
Run second.
You know, I think anybody that's in a race car, they can say winning doesn't matter, but that's their ultimate goal.
Right.
And
yeah, it's not the trophy and it's not the money. It's just being able to say you done it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know, personally, I don't find that hard to believe with Keith.
Yeah.
I kind of had a situation over there whenever I was pretty young. We were, I think I was 14, and I started, my first race I was 12, but 13 I kind of ran a few shows, but 14 was like my first season, and was over there, and he wanted me to run a bomber with the super stocks, which back then, they were called street stocks, and he wouldn't let me run the bomber class, and it was all over the fact that we were running headers on the car. That's all it was. And, I'm 14 years old, and I'm getting ready to start out here with these guys in street stocks, and I can't sit here and name off the cars that were in that heat race, but we went out, and we done quite well, and he come over to the pit, and he basically told us to pack up and get out of there. He said he didn't want, he told my dad that he couldn't let a young kid come over with a bomber and outrun his street stock guys. Mm-hmm. He said they ain't going to come back. And, of course, my dad was pretty hot-headed then, and I think we basically made the decision to load up and not ever go back.
Right.
And I never went back to that track until just like 2014, I think. So it was a long span of years that we didn't go over there, and it was all over that.
Yeah, he's tried finding a few ways. I can't tell you how many times I've been told not to come back, but the craziest one was right after Josh Burton passed away. All of the race cars drivers were painting their tires orange.
Yeah.
And, of course, we don't run Hoosiers.
Mm-hmm.
And a buddy took an old Hoosier tire and cut Hoosier out of it to make a stencil.
Yeah, right.
And, some of us Hornet guys held it up against our tires and spray painted.
Right.
And it said, and he tried to tell me to load up and leave because I was running Hoosier
over
tires.
That, and that's something.
It's like.
Yeah. Well, the good news is the track is now ran under new ownership, and they're doing some amazing things.
Yeah.
It's nice to see it, and again, I can't say it enough. I mean, Spiker and the whole crew, they're doing some great things for the racing guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to have all these local tracks. We're very blessed in this area to have so many different places to go. And him running three of the tracks that are close to us, that's great.
Yeah, and with this whole virus deal, I'm worried of how he's going to be able to, with just taking over Bloomington. Mm-hmm. But, when he first got Paragon, it was rough there for a little while. There's new dirt, new different surface he was figuring it out. Mm-hmm. But that last time I ran up there at Paragon, man, that track was fast.
Right.
And, I like a slick track, but sometimes it's fun to go fast too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. They were definitely doing everything they could to give you the best surface that they could. Mm-hmm. And I know, Mother Nature wins a lot, but I feel like with them running the show there now, I always felt like previous owner, Keith, he would pretty well call it if it sprinkled, It seemed like anyways.
Yeah, especially there towards the end.
It was like, golly, we're never going to race. But they do a good job. That's like the guys down at Thunder Valley. They done one heck of a job getting shows in last season. And, man, we fought rain like crazy. Mm-hmm. And they would come out on top and do the best they could and give the racer somewhere to go, and that's awesome because, everybody works hard all week, and then of course it don't rain at all week, and then race day, it's like here it comes,
Yeah.
and they done a good job for everybody.
Yeah, speaking of down there at Thunder Valley, Steve Leonard, the promoter there, he actually raced Hornets with us.
Yeah,
And we ran with him for a few years, and he took it over. And, that's a track that feel like not very many people know about. And I wish they could get a lot more support than they do.
yeah,
But,
I agree.
that is a very fun track.
It is. It is. It's a lot of fun. My dad, he used to race bombers there quite a bit back. Oh, I guess it would have been late 90s and early 2000, maybe 2000, 2001. And it, for me, I was going and helping him a lot. I was like, I don't even know, 18 years old or something. And I was having a blast going down there. I mean, he was running well, and they put on a good show. I mean, it's a small track, but they do a fabulous job out there as far as track prep. And the Mars series, they come down, ran late models there last season. And
they've actually got 305s this year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, good deal.
So that'd be
That's
interesting
good.
to see. But
the only thing that I can see that needs to have more room is just the pits. Like the track size, it's really not an issue. It's just figuring out a better way to handle the cars in the pits as far as getting more cars to the track. But I'd love to see them stands full. I mean, it would definitely be great. I mean, it's a fun little place to go to, and you can.
It's probably the cheapest racetrack you can go to. Also.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good point.
Getting in, I think it's $7 to get in the stands.
Yeah, what else can you go do for that?
Yeah,
I
mean, and
can't even go to the movies.
Their concession stand, you can get cheeseburger, fries, and Coke for $4.
Right.
Any other track you're paying. $4 for your fries.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. But, well, hopefully this season, whenever it does finally get started, they can get some good car counts and get some fans in the stands. And I mean, that's what it's all about. It's giving everybody that's sitting in them stands a good show. And I feel like they've done a good job trying to do that. And now you got, so many different divisions racing down there. Now you're saying the 305s. I know last year I was seeing those mini modifieds.
Yeah. And well, the mini mods, I think they're going to run there all. I don't want to say weekly, but multiple times. The 305 is just a one-time deal like the Mars was, but
okay,
who knows?
Yeah, what that could lead to.
Yeah,
well, that's good. Yeah, anytime you can keep more divisions at that track or any track, I mean that's a great thing. I mean, I don't like going to a track where they got 7 divisions running in one night and you're there all night.
Right.
So I want to be careful with what I say, but it's nice to see them rotate out and keep a wide variety of divisions going.
I mean, a lot of the tracks do good jobs, but back to Thunder Valley, they can run 5 or 6 classes and you're usually done at a pretty decent time.
Yeah. Yeah, I can honestly say I don't know if I've ever been there and got out of there as late as I have at Paragon, back in Paragon's previous ownership.
There's some days at Paragon, I don't think we got home till like 4 in the morning, which we always ran last. And a lot of guys complained about that, but for our cars, run last is best, That's the best the track's going to get.
That's one thing I would like to see tracks be able to do. And I mean, I realize, a lot of the fans are there to see one division or, we all know what it's like whenever the checkered flag flies at the sprint cars get finished up at, like, say, Bloomington or something. You watch so many of the fans get up and walk out. I would love to see them, rotate out.
Right.
What division goes first and last. Every week would be nice. I mean, and of course, it'd be nice to see trophy dashes back.
Yeah.
Take the winner from each heat race and throw them out there, and whether it's a trophy or $100, whatever. Just, I feel like it would be a good thing to see tracks be able to do that again.
Well, I'd like to see You couldn't do every class, but random draw or alternate or whatever, do one class that qualify.
Yeah.
You know,
True qualifying.
yeah, it's not group qualifying.
Yeah.
You know, 2 cars at a time, and like I said, you couldn't do every class in
Right.
a night, but
Right.
alternate them or do
Yeah.
a random draw or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, do you have anybody else you'd like to give thanks for as far as in the racing and sponsors, or I think
No,
you
I
pretty
think I
well
mentioned them.
got them all covered,
Yeah.
didn't
I
you?
mean, the main people I got to thank is my family. You
Yeah.
know, they're with me
Day in, day
day
out.
in, day out. You know, when my wife and kids put up with me being out in the
Right.
garage.
Right.
You know, my mom and Bill for helping me. My dad helped me every chance he gets.
Yeah.
You know, my sister actually sponsored me a time or two. You
Yeah.
know, gave me a little bit.
Well, that's great.
And then I mean, not only just my close family, but my extended family that, you know, they diehard race fans, and
Right.
whether I'm racing or not, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it feel good to have all of them there with me.
I bet. Yeah, I mean, I remember when me and you were running super stocks together, there'd be nights where we were pitted pretty close at Bloomington especially, and after the races were over, we'd be loading our cars up and stuff, and all of a sudden you just start seeing orange shirts everywhere. So
Yeah.
I definitely know that you got a huge group supporting you, and that's great. You know, you guys make a lot of memories together, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely appreciate you coming down and
Hey,
telling
man.
your story, man.
Not a problem. It was fun.
Well, with that being said, I'm going to close this down. We appreciate everyone tuning in tonight and watching this episode of Off the Track. If you have not already liked us on Facebook, please be sure and check us out. You can check us out on bluechiptech.net, and you can watch any of our old previous videos on there as well. You can always give us a call at 812-807-7050 for all your engine needs. We appreciate you guys watching. Thank you and have a great evening.